So I will share my screen with you. So can you see my screen now? Yes, can you see my screen now? Alyssa,
Hello, sir.
can you see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So to start with, I'll go to React documentation and follow some process there. React documentation and so we want to do something here. No, we're not. Where is this? I'm coming. I'm looking for a command. Like I will. You also the reason I'm showing you this is in case you have any issue, you can come to the documentation and read how to go about it.
Yes, sir.
Okay, let me just Google create React app. We need this to React app. Okay. Okay. So first is you run this command npx creates hyphen react hyphen app. Then this will be the name of your application. So let's assume I want to create e-commerce. This will be the name of my e-commerce website. Do you understand it, sir?
Yes, sir.
npx create hyphen react hyphen app, then the name of your application. So let's start. I will open my terminal. You can, okay, let's open Node.js terminal. You can use your Visual Studio Code terminal. You have terminal in Visual Studio Code for most of those things we'll be doing. But for this very first one, we'll be using this terminal. Like again, we'll be using terminal for a lot of things we'll be doing.
Okay, sir.
But for this very task, you will need this terminal. But after this, for subsequent ones, you can use the one in your Visual Studio Code. But on my own, I will use it for everything. I will use it for everything. But maybe you can use the one in your Visual Studio Code. But for the very
Okay.
first one, you will need
Sir.
this. Yes, sir.
Sir, sir, can we also use CMD?
Yes. For the very first command, I don't know if CMD will work for this. But for subsequent ones, you can use your CMD. But for this very first one, I don't know if CMD will work. So
Okay.
command prompt, this thing, Node.js command prompt is it comes with that Node.js. Immediately you download it, this comes with it. So run this command npx. Oh, first thing is, where do I want to situate my folder, my project, my application? Imagine I want to put my application here, then I need to navigate to desktop. I need to navigate to desktop. If I want it to be on desktop, but I don't want it to be on desktop, maybe I can create a folder and,
Okay.
and put all my React codes inside that folder. I'll just say React all React applications. Okay. Um, so all React applications, I've created this folder. Then I want to put our project inside this folder. So I'll just copy the URL to that folder and come to this place and say cd. cd stands for change directory. Then paste it. Immediately you right click, it will paste. So So I'm currently inside that folder now. As you can see, the URL has changed.
Yes.
So I'm currently inside this folder. Now I can create my application, my project inside this place. So I run that command npx create react app. Then what should we call the project? Let's say, what should we call it?
So I can call it new app.
New app. So this will download it online and install it on my device. You need internet for this.
Yes, sir.
So let's wait. This will take some time.
Yes, sir.
While we wait, let me see if I have a React project there. Okay, it's already downloading. If I have a React project that I can now use that to explain why we wait for this, but then it's already downloading. Even if I have another one, anyone is going to be a old project. I didn't create any project recently, so there may be
Yes,
some,
yes.
yeah, there might be any projects. So let's wait for this to soon finish this installation.
Yes. Sir,
Yes, sir.
sir, I'm
Yes,
sorry, sir.
yes.
Sir, I just want to confirm. Sir, that, that is React a framework or a library?
That is a library. So as we will see along the line, we will be doing most of these things ourselves.
Okay. Yeah.
I think someone wants to join the class. Good evening, sir. Hello, sir. Good evening, sir. Some socks. I welcome you to the class. Can you hear me, sir? Okay. I didn't expect this to take this long a time. So while we are waiting, let's talk about SPA. SPA. SPA stands for Single Page Application. SPA. It stands for Single Page Application. So let's look at what this is about. You know, most times when you build your application, it will have many pages. Let me take it to a typical application. Although this website was built with React, our company's website built it with React. Uh, Now, if not for what you are downloading, I would have put off my internet to explain how this SPA works. But don't worry, when we are done with everything, I'll put it off and you understand it better. What happened is this. Look at this. I'm currently on the landing page of the application. I will leave the landing page now to the how it works page. And I will leave the how it works page to the template page. But will you believe me that these three pages only have one HTML page? They don't have many pages. Like, it's not that this is a separate HTML page. This is another HTML page. This is another HTML page. The three of them only have one single HTML page. Let me open this to explain how that is possible. Okay, imagine this. Imagine you have a page that looks like this, and inside this body you have div, and I call this landing page. Let's assume this is the text we have in the landing page. Now, when I shift from the landing page to the how it works page, what React will do is that it will take this div away and replace it with another container. It can be maybe a paragraph, and it will replace it with how this is the how it works page. Do you get what I'm explaining? We are
Yes, sir.
still on this single page. What we are just doing is we are changing the content. We are just
Okay.
changing this content. So when we go to another page, then it will just take away this content and replace it with another content. Let's say in this case, let's assume we are currently on the templates page. It will just replace it with the content on the template page. But overall, we are still inside the same HTML file. We are only changing this part of the file. I hope you understand.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So it seems as though you are navigating across pages, but you are still on the same page. Just that you are changing part of the page. And this process is known as single page application. You still have the same structure and all of that, but then it makes your whole application behave like a single page. Another benefit of single page application is that if I put off my data, I can visit these pages. I can. That is not possible on other websites. Let me take you to the old Mendeley that we were using before 2020. Okay, this is the old platform.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, so I'm just entering inside though. I don't so
Okay, what we are doing is we created an application, a React app. After downloading the Node.js.org, what I have is to download on Node.js.org. After downloading it, next is you open your terminal. Open this terminal. This is terminal. Just come here and search for Node.js command prompt. After searching for Node.js command prompt, open it. Then use it to run this command. npx install. npx create React app. Then the name of the app. npx create React app. This is the name of our app. You can give it any name of your choice. Now, next is while we are waiting for this to finish, I just don't want us to be stagnant. So I'm trying to explain the meaning of SPAs to us and how it helps our application. So let's compare these two together. This used to be our website, and this was not built with SPA. No, it wasn't. It was built with PHP, AngularJS. I think AngularJS has gone into extinction. It was built with AngularJS. Okay, it's obsolete. Then now let's look at how this works and PHP. If you go to this about us page, look at what happens. Do you realize that it is loading this place? Even though when we are not fetching anything at the back end, yet it will load this place. If I go to another page, it still requires internet to do all of these things. It will still need internet to go to this page. If I go to the login page, it will still need internet to do this. So you need internet for everything. But when you are dealing with SPAs, the way that works is that I don't need, just look at this part and you will see the difference. Do you realize that this page did not load? If I go to the landing page,
yes.
it won't load. It will just move straight to that part. So we're going to see how we'll be able to do all of this. So meaning that those places whereby you are not fetching data from the back end, then you shouldn't need internet to visit them. Only those places that need data to, for instance, look at what we have on this page. Let me go to About Us page. Everything on this page, on the About Us page, they are just HTML and CSS. So I shouldn't need data to visit this section. But yet, it will still require data from you. That's one of those things you benefit from using SPAs. Do you understand?
S what?
SPA, single page applications. React is a single page application. Angular is a single page application. Vue is a single page application. Don't mix Angular with AngularJS. They are two different things. AngularJS has been deprecated. When you say something is deprecated in the world of software development, it means that it is no longer being developed. It has been neglected. So like I said, AngularJS was used to build this. So that was the reason why we had to make that shift from AngularJS to something modern or more recent. So we shifted to React. Why is this taking time? Wow. No, well, after today, we won't waste much time doing all of this again. So this is the command we run: npx create React app, then the name of your app. So it is downloading it.
Sir, please.
I'm with you, sir.
Yeah. Sir, for my hand there.
Okay.
Sir, So if I want to enlarge your presentation,
You want to enlarge the
so how will I do it? Your presentation on my
documentation.
screen. Your presentation
Okay, you
on
want to
my
enlarge
screen.
the presentation.
Yes,
Oh,
I want to enlarge it.
just you
You
can
see
zoom it.
one arrow behind on the right hand side. Some four arrows like this. Just click on it to give you different sizes.
Okay.
Bottom down. Your right
Abs-
hand side. You see one, two,
Thank
three,
you.
four. Four arrows and you just click.
Thank you, Sam.
Yeah.
I've seen it.
Yeah.
This is taking more time. I would have downloaded it, but I want us to see the process and all of that. Okay. So while it is downloading, okay, let me explain some of those things here. These two things that have been downloaded. If you open it, number one, you have node modus. What is the meaning of node modus? Node modus is a folder that contains the React files. You know, we want to use React codes. I've been now. We want
Yes.
to
Yes.
use React codes. So this node modus contains those React codes. If you open it, in fact, it's usually the heaviest folder in the application. This node modus. It contains all those React codes, all those things that made React React. They are kept inside this node modus. If, for instance, if I download anything that I want to use in my application, for instance, let's say I want to make API call. I want to make a request to the server, and I decide to use Axios. I've explained Axios to us, right?
Yes.
Okay. So if I download Axios, that Axios will automatically come inside this node modus. If I download anything that I want to use inside my application, inside my React application, it comes inside this node modus. So this node modus is usually a very heavy folder that contains your dependencies. Dependencies are those things that your application depends on. I mean, third-party libraries, or if the React codes themselves itself is inside this node modus. Do you understand?
Yes.
So it's usually a very heavy folder that contains a lot
Sir.
of files. Yes, sir.
So it's package.json. So is this thing in
Is it?
the node modus?
It's not inside the node modus. Package.json is directly inside the name app, inside your application. I will explain this now. What this does. I come again. This node modus, it's a folder that contains all your dependencies, everything your application depends on. Now, for you to understand the work of this package.json, look at it this way. Imagine I made a soup here in my house, and maybe I now made a video call with my sister. Let's assume my sister is in Germany, and during the video call, I told my sister how I prepared the soup and all of that, and she really liked it. Now, I want to ask you a question, and she actually wants to prepare that same meal, that same soup at her own end. Don't you think it's fine if I go to the market, get all the ingredients, then send it to the airport and send it to have airplane? Don't you think it's nice?
If it is you that want the meal, Abby.
No, like I made a meal here at my home, and
Okay.
my sister saw it and she loved it. So she reached out to me and requested for it. So I now told her, well, don't worry, I'll go to the market here. I will get the whole ingredients. Then I will send it via plane to you. Do you think it's nice? Or isn't that cool?
It depends. If the things you are buying is not over there, you can send it down to her.
I love that response. So, really, if those things are not there, it doesn't look wise to send it down there, right?
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
exactly why we have this package.json. A better option would have been that I write out the explanation, then I write out the ingredients, and send the ingredients and the explanation to her via email. Then she can go to the market at her own end and get those things, right?
Yes.
That would
Yes.
have been wiser. Now, this is the same thing that is happening here. You see this node modules, it's a very heavy folder, like I said. It's like the ingredients. If I want to push to Git, you don't push these node modules to Git. No, you don't. You don't. That's because it will take a lot of time to push to Git. And whenever the person needs it, these things are online. Everything inside these node modules were downloaded online. They are available to anybody. So this package.json, is a file, just a file. Look at it, it's just 1 kilobyte in this case. It's a file that contains the dependencies of the application. It contains the names and the version of those things inside the node modules. Do we get it?
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
It contains the names and the version of those things inside this folder. So all I need to do is to send this one to Git. And if anybody needs it, then the person will, there's a command we get there. There's just a command to run, and immediately the person runs that command, it will create node modules for that person, and it will download everything inside this node modules. So it will create a new node modules for that person, and it will now quickly download everything there. So I don't need to push my own node modules to Git. If the person needs it, the person can just come here and check it and just run the command. The command is simple: npm install. This is the command. Just come to your terminal and say npm install. We will look at along the line. We are going to do this together. Once you run this command npm install, it goes to this package.json, check the files there and the version of those files, then goes online and download everything. How does it know where to download them? Remember I explained to us that we have a library, like a repository, something like a repository, npmjs. We have this website. I talked about it in the last class.
Yes.
So this website has all those things. So it just comes to this website and starts downloading them. In fact, most of those things we'll be doing or we'll be using will be downloaded on this website. Look at the Axios we used the other day. If I search for Axios, this is the Axios. So we can download it here. In fact, these things that we are currently downloading, they are being downloaded from that same website. Look at it, npmjs.org. They are being downloaded from this same website. So all you need to do is to push this package.json online. Then when you run npm install, it comes to this place and downloads that. Any question?
No.
Then the good news is that you don't, if you download anything, let's assume I downloaded Axios, I don't even need to come to this package.json to write it as a dependency. It will automatically be added. So once I download any dependency, then the name and the version of that dependency will automatically be added to the package.json. So you don't need to start monitoring that, is it up to date or not. I'm just using
Okay.
our style to wait for this so that we can proceed. And oh wow, I have something to attend to at 9:15. Okay, let me explain other things that you will see here. So while we still wait, when it is done, you will see a folder called public. You will see another folder called SLC. Then you will see a file. This is a folder. This is a folder too. And this is a file. Git ignore file. Git ignore. So let's look at this theory. This is just a file. This folder, public folder. Remember I said your old application we have just one HTML file.
Yes.
So this public folder contains what will be loaded on the browser. That is, it contains that HTML file. That single HTML file is inside this public folder.
Okay.
Next is the SRC folder. That gives you the source of those things that will be inside this HTML file. Whatever will be fetched or displayed inside this HTML file will be fetched from this SRC folder. In fact, most of our work will be inside this SRC folder. Most of the edits and the codes will be adding. You won't touch the HTML directly. You won't. You will just come to this source folder and write some codes. Then it will automatically update this one. Then this git ignore file. Remember I said that this node modules folder will not be pushed to Git,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So it's this is where you write it. It's automatically there, so you don't even need to write it. It's automatically there. So git ignore file, inside it, when you check it, you will realize that you will see something like ignore node modules. Node modules has been ignored there, so that when you push to Git, it's not going to be there. But you may not even need to touch this. Let's focus on this too. This contains your HTML file. This contains your SRC. This SRC is where the main work is, where we'll be adjusting and writing our codes. Now let's focus on, let me remove this public and focus on this SRC folder. The SRC folder contains JavaScript file. You see, one of those things that make React so interesting is that the codes you'll be writing will be JavaScript. Inside this folder, there's a file called index.js. This index.js is the one that supplies the information that you will see inside this HTML file. You know, I told you there's an HTML file here, Abby.
Yes.
That file is index.html. So the content of this index.html will be fetched from this index.js file, and it will be sent straight to the index.html file. Now you will see another file there called app.js. Like I said, everything you'll be doing will be JS. Even if you are writing HTML code, it will be inside JS. So there's another file called app.js. What's now the relationship between index.js and app.js? Let's go. I will comment this out and explain something called JSX. In in React, we use something called JSX. JSX is the simple definition, or the simple explanation is that you are writing HTML codes directly in a JavaScript file. JSX, you are writing HTML codes directly in a JavaScript file. Like I said, all the files you'll be creating, most of the files you'll be creating will be JavaScript files. So this JSX allows you or permits you to be able to write, to be able to make it possible. That is what React uses, to be able to make it possible for you to write HTML codes directly in JavaScript file. You might say that, well, haven't we been doing something like this when we did JavaScript? Let's look at the difference here. When we did JavaScript, we used to do something like this script. Let me create an external file. Let's say this is the file. let's say index.js. So let's link them together. Source index.js. So I want to fetch the information here. So I can come here. Of course, if I say alert, it will alert something out from me. So on it on the browser. Good. So let's try some things there now. Let's say I have a div and I want to put this div as an ID. I can call it results. I want to use this JavaScript file to put some codes inside this div. So what I can do is I'll come here and say the ID, which is results dot, look at the difference, inner, maybe inner text or inner HTML. Yeah. Now we'll do it like this div. You can put a div there too, and I can say hello. I can style it and say maybe background color is let's say background color is right. Right. What am I doing wrongly? Oh, sorry. Background color. Right. So I have these codes here. This div, I'm placing it directly inside this. Inside this page. Of course, when I get to the browser, it will work. I'll see the result there. It looks fine. But this is not JSX. What JSX permits you to do is that you won't even need these codes. Do we understand?
Yes.
You won't even need these codes. So you'll be able to place this directly in your JavaScript file and it will work fine. If I run this, of course, this will throw back an error. It will not work. JSX stands for JavaScript XML. JavaScript XML. So this allows you to place JavaScript directly in your HTML, and that will be the code you'll be writing. Back to where we were the other time. You have a file called index.js inside this SRC. You have another file called app.js. Remember I said this index.js sends its information to the index.html. This app.js sends its own information to the index.js, so that index.js can now send it to index.html. Do we see the other?
Yes.
Index.js sends its information to, app.js sends its information to index.js. Index.js sends its information to index.html. Along the line, you will create other files. You can call it, maybe I can call it display.js. Remember I said you'll be writing JavaScript.
Sorry, sir. If we have to write CSS now, where will you categorize that?
You said we're going to see
app.js. App.js will transfer.
So we're going to see how to include CSS in our codes. We will do it along the line.
Okay.
We use CSS codes. It's because this is taking time and I want to attend to some. That's why I'm just explaining. We should have waited for this to complete before doing all of this. But I hope you are getting the explanation.
Yes.
Okay. I'm really running out of time. So we have this index.js getting its information from app.js. App.js sends it to index.js. Index.js sends it to index.html. Now, this app.js is the root file of your application, meaning that every other file that you'll be creating, you will assemble them in this app.js. All other files meet here. Then like if you create other files, you bring when you are done creating them, you import them here. You import
Sir,
them
why?
like you said,
Why?
because you want this to be the roots. It's not in React. You don't just want to place everything here. A good practice in React is to assemble everything in this app.js. Then you will now send the content of the app.js to your index.js.
Yes.
Then send it from index.js to index.html. Every other thing
HTML.
meets here. Then you will now send everything as a whole to the index.js. Index.js will now
Okay.
send it to index.html. Do we get the part?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's proceed. Let's go on. Let's say I let's see what happens inside each of these files. That brings us to something we call component. Component. Component is a file that contains HTML, CSS, JavaScript. Now it looks confusing because I said React is about JavaScript. And the name of the file will be JS. This is it. Every code that you are going to write in React will be they're actually JavaScript codes. But those JavaScript code, of course, they need to be converted to something the browser can understand, right?
Yes.
So that you will be able to load them on the browser. But you don't need to think about how that conversion will happen. React will handle that for you. But a component is a file that contains, or a set of codes that contains is HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. They are reusable. Components they are like functions. In fact, a component is like a function. Look at it. Let's go back to our basic knowledge of JavaScript. Let's say I have a function here. I will delete this now. I have a function here. First equals to this, and I say console log hello, then console log I have this too. Console log hello. If I want to call on this function, all I need to do is to call on first, Abby, to trigger the function.
Yes.
If I want to repeat it again, what do I need to do? I will write the name of the function again, right?
Yes.
If I want to do it again, I will write the name of the function again. So it means that I'm reusing this function. This is how a component is. But instead of it being just JavaScript, it has its own HTML. It has its own HTML now. I'm talking about its own XML. Remember, in JavaScript you'll be writing XML, JSX. Sorry, you'll be writing JSX. That is, you'll be writing HTML directly in JavaScript. So it has its own JSX syntax. That is, it contains its own HTML. It contains its own CSS, which will definitely be converted to JavaScript, and it has its own JavaScript logic also. It has the three all in one, but it's just a function like this. Imagine you have HTML here inside this place, and you still have your CSS codes here, and you have your JavaScript inside this place, but it's reusable. So if you want to do that thing again, if I want just the same way we call this over and over again, you can reuse a component. Once you call on the component, it will put all the codes inside that component at that location. Do we get it?
Yeah.
But that will get clearer to us when we are done downloading this. I don't know why this is just taking a lot of time. It's too much. So let's proceed. We've talked about what a component is. Now we have two types of components. We have a class component and a functional component. This training will be focusing on the functional components, not the class. but we mentioned class along the line. I will teach us how class components work. But then we'll be focusing on functional component. That's because the React team currently they are focusing on the functional component and somehow they dropped the class component. Like they are not paying attention to the class component. So since the team itself is not paying attention to it, it's best you shift with them. But when you see old codes, you will see class components in most of them. But then I'll teach us the two so that we understand both of them. So let's look at how a functional component looks like. A functional component is just a basic JavaScript function. So it just looks like this. If then you start a component with capital letter like this with uppercase. Then it's going to have this just like this, just basic JavaScript function. Then it returns a JSX. It returns a JSX. So I can return a div like this. Say hello. I hope you understand.
Yes, sir.
A function is just basic JavaScript function that returns JSX. This is JSX. So whenever I call on this app, I will see this div there. Show you one.
Yes.
Good. So this app.js that I told us about here, or where is it? I told us about it here. Will look like this. Const app. Then it will have a function and it will have some codes. When you are done, you want to export it out. If you don't export it out, you won't be able to import it elsewhere. When you are done creating your components, you need to export it to be able to import it elsewhere. So export default app. I will explain the meaning of these defaults, but for now, ignore it. So let's see. Let's assume, oh, this is the index.js. I will change it to const index. Then let me create another file called app.js. App.js. Then I'll say const app equals return. This. So remember I said you are going to export this and bring it to the index, Abby. I can call this index page.
Yes.
Index page. This index page does not do much. In fact, all it does is, the major thing it does is that it collects the information here and sends it to the index.html. That's the major thing it does. It collects the information in the app.js and send those information to the index.html. So this does not do much. And in fact, I'll just say send whatever is here. Let me say send whatever is here to index.html. So what all this one just do is whatever you put here will be sent to the index.html. So let's see how to import this to this place. Remember I told you that you will bring this code and make it available here so that this can import it to, export it to the index.html. I hope you are getting it.
Yes, sir.
Are we confused?
No, sir.
We are following.
Okay. So let's come to this place. I hope this is done. Wow. So let's come to this place and say export default app. The reason we are exporting it is for us to be able to import it here. If you don't export it out, you won't be able to import it. So next is let's import it here. So you come to this place and say import. What is the name of this component? App.
App.
So you come here and say app from then the name of the file. The name of the file is app.js.
JS.
App like this. You don't need to put the extension .js because it assumes that the code you'll be using here, or it assumes that the files you are importing is a JavaScript file. By default, it assumes that the file you should import should be JavaScript. If it were to be another extension, then you need to put it. But if it's JavaScript, you don't need to put it. Do you get it?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
This app is the name of this function. Why the one here is the name of this file, app.js, but you don't need to put the extension. So meaning if I change this function name to something else, then this will be export default something. Then
Something.
this will now be import something. Do you understand?
Mm.
This will be import something from app. So let's now put it here. Next is I want to put this something here. You will now use like a tag. That is why you start the name with capital letter. You use like a tag. Remember, all tags are written in small letter. I've been now.
Yeah.
Tags are in small letter. So this easily differentiates tags from components.
Yes.
So you just put it here as a tag. Immediately you put it here, it will come here and load, carry this code, the codes here, bring it here. Then this one can now send it to the HTML. Show you Allah.
Yes, sir.
So now,
So how do you send
Yes,
to HTML?
is that
How do you send this to HTML?
that is you are not the one to undo that. React does that for you. You will see dot render. There is a function here already that automatically carries whatever is inside this place to the HTML. You don't need to bother about that. React does that for you.
Okay, so my question now is, whatever we're writing here is JavaScript. Abi?
Yes, sir.
So after we've done our HTML, after we've written our HTML code on HTML platform, so is it that this JavaScript that we've written here will override the HTML that we've written there?
No, you
or
won't. You won't have to create any HTML file again. You will just come here and start writing your code directly here.
Okay, our HTML code, we'll write it directly here
Yes.
on this. Okay.
You won't have to create another one again. So let's proceed. So this will just export this and bring it here. Let's talk about this export default.
So sorry,
Yes, sir.
that means we are creating just two file.
In fact, maybe just your JavaScript files
App.
alone.
App.js and index.js.
No,
Abi?
you'll be creating other components. Remember I said you can create your display.js, you can create other components, but they will be JavaScripts. We will see how to create
Okay.
other components.
Okay.
But these two files, they will come along with the React once it's done. Okay, are we following?
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So this something, let's talk about this default. Of course, I can put this here so that it becomes obvious that it is a self-closing. You can also write it like this if you want to. It will still work. This will also work, but a shorter way is to write it like this. You don't need to close it, it will still work also. So let's proceed. This default, what it does is that you might have more than one function inside this place. But this default tells us that this one is the default one, not this one. Do you get it?
Mm-hmm.
Like this is the most important one, not this one. I can export this also, meaning I'm exporting this and I'm exporting this, but only your file will only contain one default, not two. Show you.
Yes,
In
sir.
fact, I can have 10 functions, but only one of them will be exported as default. Now, the advantage of exporting a function as default is that when you import it here, you can put any name of your choice. Any name. it will automatically go to this file and fetch the default one that I exported and put it there. So meaning if I use any name here, then I can put any name here. I hope you get it.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
This is any name, but there is no function here called any name.
Yes.
The two
Yes.
functions I have here are something and another. But because I'm exporting something as default, it will automatically come here and fetch it for me so that it can be displayed here. It's not going to fetch another, it will fetch something since it is the default. That's one. Then number two, if I want to import this one, since it is not the default, I can't import it like this. If I want to import it, I need to put a curly braces around this place. Then what's the name? Another. I can't use any other name aside this another. I hope you get it.
Okay.
Let's stop here tonight. I can't use any other name aside this another. Since it is not the default, it must be the exact function's name. Any question?
So is this class recorded?
Yes, I am
Okay.
recording it. I'm
Okay.
recording it. So it must be the exact name that you use. Yeah, since it is not the default. But if it is the default, you can put any name of your choice here. And it automatically go to that file and fetch it. But if it is not the default, whenever you want to bring it in, you have to first put curly braces. Then the exact name. Show to here. So I can now display another here. But let's assume I want to display the two. All I need to do is something. This can be any name, like I said, this can be anything. Then comma another. So I can display the two if I want to. Any question?
Mm.
Okay.
I think we'll have
So,
Is that
video. No, I'll go
So-
over the video
Okay.
again. So,
yes, sir?
the recorded video.
I would still like you to explain that single page
That
that SPA.
okay. Single page application. In single page application, your whole page
Yes,
will
sir,
only
yes,
have
sir.
one file called index.html, and you won't even be the one to create it. It will come with your application. So all
Okay.
codes in the
Okay.
application will be sent to that single file. You are not the one to
Okay.
manage it or all of that. No. Once you write any code, if I leave, I explained it using Medillary the other time. If I go to the how it works page, you see everything here. Everything inside this place will
Yes.
just be brought inside the
Yes.
same HTML file. You are still using the same file. You are still on a single page. You are only changing what is inside this body. Do you get it? Something like, just imagine a div is here,
Okay.
and this div has an ID. So you are only changing what is inside this div. Do you understand?
Yeah.
So if I go to another
Yes,
page,
sir.
I will just change what is inside this div to something else. But I'm still on the same page. Technically, I'm on the same page.
Yes, sir.
But to visitors of my application, they think they are moving across different pages. So it makes it very fast.
Okay. Okay.
So React is it used to build SPA applications, Angular 2 and Vue. We are used to build SPA applications. So let's stop here tonight. Thank you very much.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.